Morning, guys. Everything new under the sun. Now, this is a fascinating one. We know that Russia's going to be strong in the last days, and we have some idea that they are going to basically be one of the last days, one of the end times superpowers, and they're going to have control, and likely the United States and other Western powers have been taken out because they're not really mentioned in end time Bible prophecy, not by name. There's no great current Western power named. They're all Middle Eastern countries, Russia, China, dictatorships, these sorts of things that are mentioned in Bible prophecy. And so along with that, what takes the United States and other Western countries out of significance, out of power? Is there a massive cyber attack that causes an economic collapse? Or does the economic collapse coincide with a cyber attack? Maybe one doesn't cause the other, but Russia attacks on multiple fronts. Nuclear weapons. Maybe they also maybe they get China to trigger an economic collapse by selling U.S. dollars. And in conjunction with that, a smart move by Russia would be to attack Western nations on several fronts, so that they were battling on several fronts, so that if one of those fronts doesn't really do much damage, well, you've got multiple other fronts. And so it's always good to come on an enemy from many different sides, because that's going to confuse them, that's going to focus them in different directions so that they can't focus in one direction and put all their resources together in one direction. Well, this is interesting. Putin revenge begins. Russia hacks British homes as cyber agents set to cripple laptops, phones, and critical infrastructure after secretly accessing millions of computers. I think it's fascinating that is Russia. Have they effectively invaded Britain and possibly other nations, even the U.S. and Canada, by way of malware, by way of a cyber attack? And it's a stealth cyber attack because maybe they're into the systems, but they won't unleash the payload, of this access until they are ready to go to World War III, effectively. And so when they want to trigger World War III, maybe they trigger it with a massive cyber attack with, the malware that they've loaded onto all these computers they've accessed. Russia is preparing to mount a cyber attack on Britain's critical infrastructure, so then they can attack nuclear power stations, the electric grid, etc. It is targeting thousands of laptops and phones in UK homes in preparation. The government has been probing cyber defenses to identify vulnerabilities, U.S. and UK authorities revealed in a joint statement. So this is happening in the U.S. as well. UK intelligence officers on standby to hit back if Kremlin wages cyber warfare. It is feared vital transport systems and water supplies could be hacked by Russia. Intelligence sources also fear the retaliation could involve the online release of compromising information on MPs, which would cause chaos in the political systems. In the civilian populations, there would be chaos. So Russia could unleash chaos not only by a nuclear weapon, not only by chemical attacks or other sorts of warfare, but by cyber attacks. Simply by releasing information, they could cause chaos in the West, effectively bringing the West to its knees by way of these cyber attacks. Russia is targeting millions of laptops in UK homes. They added that once access has been gained, Moscow-backed agents could hide undiscovered until they decide to attack. So they're gonna sit in the computer systems until Russia says, green light, go ahead, this is it, this is World War III, attack your targets. And this is basically this is the equivalent of sleeper cells inside the U.S. And the U.K. and probably all sorts of other countries that Russia has issues with. And so when you think of this multi-front warfare, this is exactly what Russia should be doing. I mean, if you want to bring down Western countries, take down their internet, take down their technology. These countries, and I'm in Canada, if you take away our technology, we are done for. With same-day delivery food at the grocery stores, GPS tracking of products. There's no local products anymore. Everything's made in China or elsewhere, and they're shipped here. You take out the electronics, like the electronics in cars, where cars and trucks don't work, and you stop the delivery systems because they're all dependent on highly advanced electronic digital systems. Well, then you've just caused World War III. You've just caused an economic collapse in the country, basically. and chaos. Pretty interesting. I would say akin to what we see in Venezuela with starving. You've caused hyperinflation. You've caused a collapse of the money system. You have people starving, and again, I think an economic collapse is what takes Western nations out. And this article really backs that up. It comes amid reports that Russia is preparing to mount cyber attack on Britain's energy networks, armed forces, and emergency services. So at the point in time when Britain maybe wants to come and support Israel, maybe during Gog Magog, maybe Russia unleashes this, and then the UK says, we're hosed. We didn't realize Russia was into our electronic system so far. We can't even support Israel in this time because we've been taken out. The government has been probing cyber defenses to identify vulnerabilities that could potentially lay a foundation for a future offensive operation. Syrian Martin, CEO of National Cybersecurity Center, said they are around trying to seize control over connectivity. So the case of targeting providers of internet services is about gaining access to customers and trying to gain control over their devices. Again, you take out our electronic devices, your TVs, your cell phones, your computers. You can't do email. You can't Skype. Your phone systems are down. Your energy systems are down. What have you left? You're left pretty much literally eating the grass on your lawn because no food is moving, no milk production. Those are all done via robotics. You take out the electronics and you have cows not being milked and milk not getting to market. You simply have the complete halt of all commerce and food systems in the countries. While Mr. Martin said most targeting of the UK had been aimed at government bodies and critical national infrastructure, US officials said everything from large enterprises to small home offices could be affected. So if you don't have your firewall turned on, and even if you have your firewall turned on, probably Russia can get in there regardless. Mr. Joyce said, we see malicious cyber activity, whether it be from Kremlin or other nation-state actors, we are going to push back. FBI Director Marshall added, this activity isn't always to steal information from networks that is targeted in these operations, but sometimes used to facilitate other operations that the Russians can do against high-value targets. So they're not just trying to steal your individual information. They don't care about the information on my computer. What they care about is accessing my computer to see if I can get into government networks or to see if they can use my computer as part of a DDoS denial, distributed denial of service attack against maybe a government system to overwhelm it and to take it down in time of war. So, it's smart on their point to get into systems and just lay there quietly until you need to be activated, and then they can do all sorts of harm. He continued to end up here, we can't rule out the possibility Russia may intend to use this set of compromises for future offensive cyber operations. Why does the U.S. not exist in Bible prophecy? Why do Western nations not show up by name in Ezekiel 38, other than saying words of, why have you come to take a spoil against Israel? They're basically saying, Russia, why are you marching on Israel? Gog Magog, why are you and your allies marching on Israel? But they're not actually coming to the defense of Israel. And I believe that's because they're taken out, probably in part by cyber attacks, by economic collapse, which is triggered by these cyber attacks, or maybe the economic collapse gives Russia the go-ahead to do these, to completely take out Western nations from assisting in any way in the Middle East, so that Russia can overwhelm these Western nations. It's a great plan. I'm sure all the militaries of the world know that this is a possibility. And certainly by these leaders who are speaking of this, this is a real and present danger as it stands right now. So I think this is fascinating. How many computers are actually hacked? Is the computer that I'm working on right now, is it hacked already? Is it compromised? We won't know until Russia decides to turn this on, pull the trigger, and cause this meltdown. And I think they can do a lot of damage. They probably have a lot more power than a lot of people realize. They've had hackers going 24/7, I'm sure, for the last 30, 40, 50 years, ever since, even earlier than that, to try and figure out how to win against a battle with the United States, for example, their arch nemesis, the superpower they want to overcome. And so they have lots of experience, they have lots of knowledge, and they're ready to pull the trigger here when the time is right. And I think it's going to be shock and awe when this eventually does come to pass. Ezekiel 38, I think this will all be part of a combined effort. Economic collapse, Ezekiel 38, something taking North America and Western nations out of the picture. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be shock and awe. We won't see it coming, and it's going to be an incredible time to witness, and many are going to die. Many will not survive this. The Bible states that the 7-year tribulation is going to be a very hard time. It's going to be a scary time. Men's hearts will fail them for fear of things that are coming upon them in the great tribulation. So incredible times to come. I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.